Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hey, I'm so happy to meet you again through Zoom, but now for another reason. And for your, for me, it's fantastic day. Just I'm very happy that you gave me that permission, that you found time for me. Thank you,
My
Thor.
pleasure. My pleasure.
And you always do that as a coach. But now we're gonna speak about you, and it's incredible experience because I know how many things you do for people. And you're, let me introduce you, the entrepreneur, investor, board member, and book writer, and you're sharing a lot of experience with people, and consultant, and Ironman, and for me, Superman, just because now I'm in New York making interviews, and it's all about you because you pushed me to that, to make my dreams come true. So thank you.
Well, thank you. I should have wore my Ironman shirt instead of my Spain polo.
No, now we know more about you, and today is a question to get maximum personal, like your personal information
All right.
about your soul, about your heart. So today we start a new project that is Stars About Stars SAS project that is based on your personal data, on your birth data, and through that I prepared some specific questions to you, just because when we Google you, of course, we see how famous you are, how many things you're doing, but it's all about personality. And today is a talk about your soul, about your heart.
All right. I'm ready.
Okay, great. So we start like this. You were born on a very emotional day. Your birthday speaks about moon energy influence. It is all about connection with the mother and all about a very big, huge emotional world, actually. And a month corresponds to fortune. Year of birth to shining sun. Oh my God, it's like, wow. Did destiny play with you that game, bringing you over an emotional storm, and suddenly something incredible helps and leads you to fortunate new horizon?
It's interesting because, I don't know if my storms are any different than anyone else's. And as I think back in childhood, there was no big storm that really comes to mind, but it is kind of interesting that we're recording this on 9/11 because the World Trade Center was actually my office. And there was my office. Lost my best friend that day. And many people, matter of fact, I had 3 members of my team from my business in the tower that day that did not make it out. So, it's kind of interesting that we're recording this on the exact day that occurred 19 years ago. So that was an interesting turning point, because at that point, a couple years before that, I'd moved to Atlanta, and I was actually going to go back to New York in 2000 and resume what I was doing in the World Trade Center. Opportunity came along. I took that opportunity and decided to stay in Atlanta. So I think the events of 9/11 shaped the way I looked at things, because many of the people that I worked with and knew, many did not make it and many did. And I think it gave me the perspective that, things can be gone in an instant, and you have the moment right now, and you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, even if tomorrow is going to come for you. So that was probably one of my biggest storms and life-changing events.
Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, it's an incredible day, and I hope now we give better, beautiful energy to this day, because it's really upset what happened, and I think we will never remember. All the world will never forget this day. So, and by the way, through your horoscope, it's written like your workout karma of your ancestors, but probably it's not only working out the karma, but it's help of angels and ancestors, people who passed away, who support you. Do you think that kind of thing that happened to you actually, or maybe other accidents in life, do you feel that support?
Yeah, I feel very supported. I have a universal belief in life that life happens for me, not to me. So even when things don't go exactly according to my plan, I have the foresight to say, well, maybe this is the plan, and the plan that I had originally thought should be the plan really isn't the plan, the best plan. So whether it's true or not, I have no idea. All I know is that it serves me, and it puts me into a state of curiosity when things go a little sideways. It allows me to step back and go, okay, what is the good here? Why is this occurring? And what great things are going to come out of this event and this change of direction?
By the way, you were born as a Libra, and now we can hear that you're really balanced, going with the flow person, even being a very emotional and strong man. But you have a very interesting value of freedom that is done by influence of Scorpion. So many planets in Scorpion. Do you feel it that you're like, poof, very emotional, sometimes, and it's very important for you to be to become authority actually, but what you actually have already done.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think Libra so often is viewed as this balance scales. Everything is always in balance. Everything is always kind of level. And I think for a good part of my life and my days, that is the case. But those scales can tip one way or another in a big way. And I find myself very often kind of going when I get my teeth into something, it is not going to be a well balanced, calm environment. I very rarely get upset or get angry. So I don't, shift to that emotion. But when I do, it is violent, it is short, and we're good. Afterwards, we're good. But it I can throw I can throw a hand through a wall once every 7 years. Um, yeah, it just kind of boils up, and then the teapot explodes, and then it's like we're good.
I said from the beginning, fantastic man. It's very difficult to argue with you. Is you're so balanced, as you know when you do, you know what is your goal actually. So
But don't
and
mistake the balance for lack of strength. It is a
no,
calm. It's a calm force behind the balance.
no, this I can feel even through Skype, okay? Through Zoom, sorry. This
Yeah.
time you taught me as well. Another thing that I discovered due to you. So, and you don't like shadows, as I discovered through the horoscope, and your job should be emotional. Did this characteristic lead you to the idea to become a coach? And how actually did you come to this profession, and why lives of other people interest you at all?
Yeah, repeat the first part of that question. I got the second part of the question, but I don't like what was the first
Yeah,
sentence?
like I discovered through your horoscope from your natal map that your work, it should be your job, it should be emotional, and
Yeah,
has no shadows at all, so you should be
has
free.
no shadows. Give me some
Shadow
context to that.
shadows, I mean, uh, you don't want to be pressed by the time, you want to create your shadow by yourself. And sorry, it's
Okay,
my, yeah, so it's my American English that I'm gonna improve.
I like that
uh,
metaphor. Yeah,
Thank
I like to
you.
create my own shadow as opposed to having the shadow forced upon me.
Yeah, but did actually this emotional side of your job and your like need to be free with your shadow push you to choose this profession of being a coach? And how did you come to this helping profession, because it's not for everybody, and why generally lives of other people interest you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's an interesting turn of events of how I ended up where I am now and doing what I'm doing. So I had been doing this for decades, but never had a business around it. It's not something that I think I went into. It was something that I was called into. So go back a few years, go back 5 years. I was at that point an entrepreneur for 16 years, multiple companies, successful exits. And then I had a manufacturing company, which I purchased back in 2008, right before the recession hit. Like when I say right before, I'm talking like days before the thing just started to crumble. So now I found myself with this manufacturing company going into a recession. It was a very difficult number of years trying to figure out how to scale and increase profitability within this company. Long story, which I won't go into, but basically I had purchased this, all the financials, everything was fabricated. I was basically defrauded through the process. But I found myself in it, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? Finally got to the point where this was not a company based on the metrics that I wanted to continue in, and I needed to get out, and that was it. At the same time, I was going through a divorce, 50 pounds overweight, having a business that was not working. And I said, okay, now what do I do? Okay, I was not at the age where it's like, okay, it's like, cool, I've got another, 40 years worth of work ahead of me. I had to quickly decide what I was going to do. So literally, I spent a lot of time working on my businesses and thinking, literally spending time, scheduled time in my calendar, scheduled as thinking time. And that's time where I'll take a difficult question, a difficult situation, and I will be 100% focused on what's going on and trying to answer and come up with an answer for that question. So the question was, now what do I do? Okay. So I said, all along I've been very good at producing profitable, scalable businesses. And this one I couldn't do. I made a bunch of mistakes from the very time when I was doing the due diligence throughout the entire process. And I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a consulting company, coaching, consulting. And I'm going to teach people how to create profit. Now, this is pretty funny because I'm leaving a business that is deteriorating and doesn't have profit. So I said, okay, I may not have all the answers as to how to create profitability, but I certainly have a whole bunch of lessons that I can share with other entrepreneurs so they don't go through the same thing I do. So if nothing else, if my entire consulting practice is based on, these are all the things I messed up on, these are all the mistakes that I did, please don't do that. If I did nothing more and I kept a few entrepreneurs from going through the same pain and anguish that I was going through, both business and personal, that would be a win. So I said, that's where I'm going to start. Because what I saw in the marketplace, I saw a lot of friends and a lot of associates that on the surface, they were really good at playing the game and creating the image that things were great. They had the cars, they had the offices, they had the large staffs, they had all this stuff, but right under the surface, because I was involved with these folks for decades in looking at their numbers, and they were just 1 inch away from disaster. Because it's kind of like the guy driving the Ferrari that lives in a rented trailer. People love to do it. We see it all the time, right? And that's what, in a scaled down version, that I saw all over the marketplace. And I said, these people need help, because if something goes wrong, and it did this year with the pandemic, and many of those businesses have not survived. So I said, I wanted to get out there, and I really wanted to share the pain that I had and share the experiences and the lessons that I learned. And I wanted to help 1, 2, a dozen, 100 entrepreneurs not do what I did.
Thank you so much. Everybody is ready to share with successful moments, but not everybody is ready to open his or her heart about life-changing moments. So thank you for that. And according to your horoscope, by the way, I wanted to ask by which age it was, because I saw that by the age of 27, you had some kind of another life-changing moments. Am I right or not? I don't know. But do financial problems, actually now I know the answer, yes, they did, motivate you for new challenges? And how generally did you earn your first money?
Yeah, so today I'm 56, but I'm going with 26. So
I think you,
I just cut it
but
in
you
half.
look 26. Oh my God. Whew, you do. Ironman,
uh,
Superman.
yeah. Um, no, at 27, things were rocking and rolling. I just gotten married, working in New York City, working in a group doing private equity transactions. So things were rocking and rolling at that point. Each time I started my first business 20 years ago, so that would have been 37. Um, had immediate success with that business. The rockiness didn't come until 45 to 50. That's when things were.
Don't steal my next question.
So yeah, that was an interesting period.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Just it's such an interest when when you calculate and you see these things, and when you tell me after, yes, it was this or that, it happened in this or that period. Oh my God, it works. I know that it works because I used to
Yeah,
work with ages with people personally, and now I transformed and created such a motivational program. But it's
yeah.
so interesting. So 45.
At 29, I did lose my dad, so obviously that was a traumatic
Yeah. Yeah.
situation.
And 45, according to a natal map, you became famous and very well known. New love or new business partners? This I don't know. I hope you will
Say
share.
that one more time.
Like around 45, it was some kind of change. Like you became famous, more very well known, and or new love or new business partners around 45. And some kind of separation period with your partnership. So I don't know, it was about business or it was about personal life, or it was or not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And if it's true, just what is your recommendation as a coach, as an experienced man, how to go through separation? Just because now after COVID, after lockdown, lots of couples are separated and lots of businesses are separated as well.
Yeah, well, I think the lockdown and the quarantine really did separate a lot of people. So obviously, if you had a family, you were then closer. What I saw in my clients was one extreme or the other. There was no middle ground. Those that were locked down with their family and their spouses, separated from their teams at the office, they either got very close by being in close quarters, or very close to killing each other. There have been more marriages saved during quarantine, and there have been more marriages that will be dissolving very quickly after quarantine. It exasperated the things that were already going on. Those that were truly in love with each other but weren't spending the time with each other found the time to reconnect. Those that were trying to escape and use work or whatever other vice necessary to kind of separate themselves, didn't have that anymore and found themselves with that environment starting to heat up and drive them further apart. With regards to me, my first business, I did not have a partner. I've had 6 or 7 businesses. Interesting kind of journey with partnerships. I think I could write a book on partnerships. Probably one of the most interesting things that I found was, and this is not going to sound interesting or profound, and it's like right there in your face, but I just missed it many times. I did this one more than once. Is you assume, or I should say I assumed, that people would behave in an ethical and honorable way just as I do. And I found very quickly that when it comes to business and money gets involved, it changes things and it changes people's ethical behavior. And as things grow and it gets bigger, if they're greedy, if they're unethical, if they are, in my opinion, not great people, it starts to expand. And as things got very successful with a couple of the businesses, the true colors of some of my partners were exposed. And each time I thought, okay, now all I have to do is just have a rock solid operating agreement. You know, if we have a rock solid operating agreement, it says, you know, who's going to do what, how do we divide everything, everything will be fine. People that don't have an ethical bone in their body will not even abide by that. So there were several breakups in business that after the breakup, I was more than happy to be broken up because I got an opportunity to see what their true colors were.
Actually, in 2009, through progressions, I can see that it was some kind of moment of studies, traveling, discovering something new, but as well some kind of loss, maybe because of weighing of other people. Is it true or not? And do you think mistakes exist at all in life?
So 2009, the kind of a new adventure was I just bought the company. I was traveling to Asia. I was doing manufacturing in Asia. So yeah, it was you know, a new culture, a new business, a new adventure. The loss was probably my money getting sucked down the drain because I had a business that wasn't represented the way it was. So yeah, that sucking sound was my cash.
Wow, so horoscope not a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm going to have to consult you the next time I decide to move into a business venture. What do the next 3 years look like?
By the way, as you see through my interviews, I never go in the future, what we can actually do as well. But we are working with the past because that interests people, if it worked or not already.
All right.
There are two categories of people who believe too much or not. I think we should be intuition followers, but from the other side, mathematics helps a lot because it's only mathematics. So next one is 2011. Career goes up. What is the definition of success to you?
Definition of success to me is 4 pillars. And this is what I coach on. I'm a business coach. And when I get engaged, so I work with high performing entrepreneurs. Most of my clients on average have a net worth of 30, 40, 50 million, are making at least, you know, 1, 2, 3 million a year in net income. So they're high performing entrepreneurs, got a nice net worth, and something's out of balance. And they want to figure out how to take their business to the next level. That's what I help them do. But in order to get their business to the next level, the person who's running the business is them. And in order to get the business to the next level, they need to get to the next level because they're not going to get there based on the same things that they did in the past. So the 4 pillars that I'm looking at are business, I'm looking at health, I'm looking at mindset, and I'm looking at relationship. And the relationship, one is relationship with yourself, relationship with your spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, mother, father, employees, vendors, God, doesn't matter. Any one that you can have a relationship with. And success to me is that you have those 4 pillars working well for you. Doesn't mean that you have to be extremely wealthy. Doesn't mean that you can, you know, run Ironmans, although I believe I can get anybody to run an Ironman in 4 months. I'm waiting for somebody to take me up on that, but no one said, "Hey, I want to do it. Teach me in 4 months." But one day I'll do that. It's not that difficult, but it takes commitment. and it takes time. So my definition of success is you've got to have a healthy body. You've got to have healthy relationships. You have to have a healthy business or career, and you have to have a healthy mindset. And if you only have 3 out of the 4, you've not won. And I know a lot of people, and a lot of them were my clients or started to be my clients, where they were very successful financially, but they were lacking miserably in the other areas.
Thanks. It's a great definition, by the way. Now I thought about myself as well, parallelly. You know, I'm being coached by you. So,
and by the way, the money piece on that is the easiest. The health is pretty easy as well. Making money, making money is not difficult. It takes a lot of hard work. It may take some time, but there are so many opportunities. My son, who's just started college, was saying, I don't know if I want to go to college or I start a business. Or I said, fine, you want to start a business? We'll start a business. I said, I guarantee you in the first 18 months of business, I can start a business. I give you the roadmap, get you started in a business. And I said, by the time you end up at the 18th month, you'll be making $150,000. He's like, wow, can I really do that? I said, I can choose a dozen different opportunities. Now, for a 21-year-old kid making $150,000 a year, good. That's not obviously going to be good for everybody, but making money is not difficult.
It was very interesting for me because I don't know, can you be a coach for your children, or as normal children, they don't listen to you and they pass the experience?
Yeah, you can be a coach to your kids. Maybe not a good one because they normally don't listen. No, what happened, what my experience with my kids, they're older, is that whatever I said at whatever time in their life was, complete malarkey. They didn't believe it. And then years later, as they get older, they're like, you know what? He did make sense. That was the right thing. So it takes a couple of years for it to sink in, but they eventually recognize it as being good advice.
And what do your 2 children teach you?
Oh, what do my kids teach me? Let's see, my son, it's really important to listen to, so I consider myself a man that follows through on his commitments. I tell you my word, we don't need a contract. I follow through on my word, period. I don't care if it turns out that what I told you I was going to do was going to take more time, more money, more effort, was going to be financially disadvantaged for me. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do, period. And I've just always been wired that way. So my son kept telling me, like, you don't do what you say you're going to do. And I was like, that is the furthest thing from the truth ever. It's like, so I just dismissed it, right, as an angry teenager. Well, as time went on and I started to listen to what he was saying and he started to explain what he meant, I saw his side of that argument or that criticism. And I was like, all right, I guess if I was him and I had these set of rules and beliefs, I could see how he believes that I'm not doing what I said I was going to do. So he taught me that when someone is upset or angry and they say something that doesn't make any sense, pause for a moment and dig into their side of the equation. How do they see it? And what specifically are they talking about? What has my daughter taught me? That's a great question.
As every woman love.
Yeah, I know. I originally wanted a daughter, and a lot of men originally want a son. I was like, no, I want a daughter. They're like, they love you. They, stick by you for life. They're, come on. Sons are a pain in the butt. So yeah, she's very thoughtful, always extremely considerate, and is always there. So I don't know if it's anything that she's taught me, but an amazing woman.
It's fantastic. So 2014,
$2014.
another interesting year in your life, probably.
Nah.
No, at all.
Interesting time at home, did you say?
No, 2014. Aspect of separation again. I don't know what
Oh,
kind of
let
separation.
me think. 2014 separation. I'm having I got divorced that year.
Yes, but financially, lucky year, by the way. I don't know how did you manage to match it, but financially a lucky year, considering to the aspect of separation. And my question was, what it means to be lucky for you, and do you generally believe that luck exists?
Yeah. So 2014, the separation was definitely, the end of the marriage. And you said it was lucky also, did you say?
Yeah, lucky, financially lucky year through the and considering
Financially
the
lucky
aspect
too.
of. Yeah, so maybe you're the only one man who ever very successful, I mean, financially after separation.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe you
Oh,
do
yeah.
things parallel, working hard.
Yeah, I guess you had to get a job and start working. So I stopped having to buy all the expensive designer shoes maybe at that point.
Like Sex in the City. You remember she always bought things and she couldn't stop with shoes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, as far as luck, I think if you define luck as great things happening as a result of your planning and hard work, then yes. I think that if you don't do anything and you just meditate all day and expect things to drop out of the air, maybe that does happen. I'm of the belief that if you want to be lucky, it's things coming to fruition that you have focused on, you've worked hard at, and you're driving towards. So yeah, I think I'm lucky every day. Think about it. Here we are. You're in New York. I'm down here in South Florida, getting ready to close on a home. We have our health. We're young. We are here in America. There are billions of people around the world that have never heard of Zoom, have never seen New York or Florida, are trying to figure out, how they're going to eat tonight. So every single one of us is extremely blessed and lucky.
But I know your secret. I don't know if you're gonna share or not. You are
I'll
moving
share.
soon. You are moving soon.
Yes, I am.
So, where do we do next a live interview? In which city of the world?
Boca Raton, Florida. We can do it on the beach.
True. We will do very specific interview with martini or with something else, with something interesting.
Everything.
Great. And tell me about another change that not too many people know about you. It was change of your name. Why did you choose another name, and how did energetically it influence your life?
Well, once again, I don't think I chose it.
Yeah.
It chose me.
Yeah.
So how are we doing on time? All right, we're doing pretty close. So about 15 years ago, I was at a local pub misbehaving. Came back the next week. Good owner, a good friend of mine is the owner. I actually had a contract to buy that place before he bought it. I passed on it. So we've been good friends for a long time. And I was there that next week, and he said, hey, you were having a lot of fun last week. And I said, I wasn't here last week. He goes, what do you mean you weren't here last week? It certainly looked like you. And I said, nope, wasn't me. I said, must have been my twin brother. He said, I've known you for a long time. I've never known you to have a twin. What's his name? And I, just like that, the first thing that popped in my head was Thor. Never watched the movies, never read the comic books, never did any of that. Don't know, I have no idea why I said Thor versus Stanley. No idea. So from that moment, he started calling me Thor. Then a couple other friends started calling me that. Then more. It just kind of got this momentum over the years. And then I was flying on an airplane. Lots of things, interesting things happen to me on airplanes. I don't know what it is. It's just the calming of my soul or whatever. But interesting turning points in my life happen on airplanes. And I was going through a book, a magazine called The Robb Report. The Robb Report is a very high-end magazine. And if you want to buy a villa in Spain and have to spend at least 200 million, that's where you're going to find it in the back of the place. Planes, yachts, all kinds of different things. Well, there was a sculpturist in the magazine called Bobby Carlyle, and it was a statue that she had done, a bronze, called The Self-Made Man. And it's a man carving himself out of a block of granite with a chisel. And I was fortunate to get one of these bronze statues years ago. And I started to look at it. And it really resonated with me first, obviously why I got it, about figuring out how to be a little bit better version of myself tomorrow than I am today. But as I looked at it, here's a man with a hammer in one hand. And I'm like, God, that's Thor. That combined with the nickname gaining traction, I decided to not change my name at that point, but I started to refer to myself because my given name was nothing more than a label. And many people go through life with labels that they're not good enough, or they're too tall, they're too short, they're too ugly, they're too pretty. Whatever the label is, we put labels on ourselves and we have labels put upon us by others. The name in which we are born is a label given to us by someone else. And there was nothing wrong with my old name. It was Randall, although I never went by Randall. It was always Randy. But I got to the point in my life where I had evolved as a man into a different person. And that different person needed a different label. When I completed the Ironmans, I was going from someone who wanted to attempt to do an Ironman to becoming an Ironman. If you don't run, you're not a runner. The first time you go running, you are a runner. It's a label. So I started using it more and more, and then finally I just got to the point I just changed it legally. And
Thor, oh, sorry. Yeah, could I?
Yeah.
Thor.
And it's been that way ever since.
So, as a coach, what could you recommend to me, Irene, and the other TV program spectators, how not to have any fear to act in life and to change things?
First of all, don't try to avoid fear. It's very difficult, and I don't suggest that. Run towards it. It's kind of like a bully. A bully in school. If you run from the bully, you empower the bully. As soon as you run towards the bully gets scared. And that's like fear. Run towards the fear and do it. I've never liked the feeling of falling. That like in an airplane where it kind of drops.
Yeah.
I'm a million-mile flyer, okay? And I didn't really like to fly because I just didn't like that uncertainty of that feeling in my gut of weightlessness. So I'm like, I'm just going to deal with this. I said, I'm going skydiving. So I booked a trip to Las Vegas to go skydiving. People are like, why would you go skydiving? Because I'm afraid of falling. So I'm like, how do I get over the fear of falling?
Oh my God, me
run
too.
towards
Maybe
it.
I should go to Vegas as well to do that.
Yeah, I just ran towards it. And I'm like, I know I'm going to be scared of that. But if this helps me get over the fear, then I've won. And what was interesting was I told someone that was actually a skydiving instructor. And he goes, Thor, you know, in skydiving, there's no feeling of falling. So I'm like, wait a second. I booked a trip to get over the fear of falling. And you're telling me in skydiving, there's no fear, there's no sensation of falling? He goes, yeah, there's none. Because when you stick your head out of the plane doing 100 miles an hour, there's too much wind. You just don't get that sensation of falling, which is true. However, when you're in the plane and these people start to pile out of the plane, guess what happens to the plane? It gets lighter. So what does it do when someone jumps out? It immediately goes up and then comes back down. So the plane's doing this the whole time as people are jumping out of the plane. And I'm like, I am so ready to get out of this plane. I'm like, skydiving was what I was running to, and getting out of that plane was the thing I was running from. So I was like, I'm getting out of this plane. And skydiving was an amazing experience. So if you're fearful of doing something, the only way to get past it is to do it. If you're fearful of speaking on stage, start talking on stage. Get one person, get nobody in the audience, then bring two people. And here's the thing, no matter what you end up doing, whatever you're afraid of, and you start to do it, you're probably going to do it poorly. That's okay. You just do it, do it, do it, do it. A lot of times I work with clients that are afraid to do video work.
As Nike
So what are you
slogan
going to do?
says.
Do video work. Yeah, and start posting it.
Yeah, just, you know, like Nike slogan, just
and
do it.
What's going to happen? I have a mentor of mine said, no matter what happens, they can't eat you. So he's a Texan. So to kind of explain that is, the worst scenario is you're not going to die. They're not going to eat you. You may be a little embarrassed. You may not feel like you did a good job. Get over it. And here's the thing. If you keep doing it, you get over it. My podcast, all you got to do is listen to my first podcast, episode number 1. I kept it up because it is absolutely horrible. Horrible. And 650 episodes later, I'm pretty good.
Thank you so much. Thor, one thing that I didn't mention you before, because it's just new startup, my new project, SAS project, Stars About Stars. So maybe you shouldn't respond now immediately because it's actually the closing question, but we have a rule. I just created it here in New York to do pass to SAS. So if you could, in your imagination, pass the ball to the other person I could interview, who would be that? But probably you need to think about and to ask before. That would be polite, I guess.
Done. So, I like the end of this.
You taught me how to be a businesswoman.
That's right.
Woman.
I love it. You took the ball, you passed it to me. It's like, all right, who do I need to interview? I like that.
So we have a little bit of marketing inside very spiritual program.
It's like the ice bath challenge. Yeah. I nominate you. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, so we're gonna make it all over the world, I promise you. And thank you, that I will always remember with whom I studied and how we met. And I hope it's not the end.
You'll remember your first, huh?
Yeah, I mean, like how you supported me at the beginning and what you still do now. Thank you so much. Chile Life channel, my energy channel, my new program, SAS project, and me, Irene Lentiggini, we all thank you for your time, for your energy, for your support, and for your sharing the truth of your heart. That is very, very important. So with lots of love, with lots of thanks, like these, like whole New York, I send in you thank you. And I wish you a fantastic day and an incredible life. And hope to see you soon alive.
Thank you.
Booms. Tete-a-tete, finally. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.